Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of I Can't Believe Anybody Would Actually Eat That. And today we're going to be taking a look at Hamza Ahmed. For those of you who don't know Hamza Ahmed, he runs a male self-improvement channel here on YouTube. And he's not so great at the self-improvement part because he has been recommending terrible diet advice, telling people to go on the carnivore diet, and just recently he was on the Strike It Big podcast where he talked about some of this. And today we're going to be explaining why his diet advice is stupid and you should never eat that.
The reason why I like the carnivore diet is because it strips back all of the bullshit. When you have basically nothing but just meat, you realize what you're supposed to feel like. I'm not tired. I don't even need coffee. It's nice to have, but I don't need it. I go to sleep and I can wake up in a few hours and I'm energetic. I'm the strongest I've ever been. I'm the leanest and the most muscular, the most fit. I'm like a full-on athlete now. And most of all, my brain is so sharp. I have no symptoms of like ADHD like I used to have for so long, where, you'd be reading the textbook in school and then you read a sentence and your brain kind of stops and you think about high school or you think about this other person. Or I haven't walked in here from the start and even had a single thought in my mind that I can think of.
I think it's obvious to everybody that you have not been doing much thinking, so no need to explain yourself. But Hamza is claiming that he's experiencing some benefits on the carnivore diet. Namely, he's got more energy. He doesn't need to drink coffee anymore. After he wakes up from a nap, he feels energetic and he doesn't feel groggy. Now, this could just be a placebo effect. He could be wrongfully attributing these benefits to his diet when it could be other lifestyle factors that are responsible for his improvement in mood and energy. But let's just assume for the sake of argument that this carnivore diet is making him have more energy and he feels better. Just because a diet has some benefits like that, it doesn't mean it doesn't come with some downsides. And since on the carnivore diet you're not eating anything other than red meat, that will come with some very serious downsides. Now, if you look at the data from the Harvard Nurses Health Studies and the Health Professionals Follow-Up Study, you will see that red meat is correlated with an increased risk of all-cause mortality, cancer mortality, cardiovascular disease mortality, and type 2 diabetes. And replacing red meat with practically any other food, that could be fish, dairy, poultry, legumes, nuts, other plant foods, that is associated with a reduction in these risks. So I don't think Hamza is actually experiencing any benefits from the carnivore diet. I think this is a combination of placebo effect. I think he made some other lifestyle changes like reducing his alcohol intake, reducing processed food intake, and maybe lately, just because of the way his business is growing, he just feels more motivated and more energetic for those reasons. And even if we were to grant that he feels like he has more energy following this diet, well, guess what? Years down the line, this is going to catch up with you. And again, red meat intake is associated with a risk of dying from all causes, increased risk of dying from cancer, cardiovascular disease, and type 2 diabetes. So does it really make sense to follow a carnivore diet, knowing these downsides and also knowing that chances are it's not actually benefiting you in the ways you think it is? Now, Hamza also mentioned that he's grown more muscle, he's gotten stronger. I think that's also bullshit. He has not posted any lifting content, and if you just look at his physique, he looks like he's about the same size, if not like maybe even smaller than he used to be. He has never been a big, strong guy. The latest gym footage I could find of him is about a year old, where he was talking about benching only 225 and only being able to eke out a couple reps.
I was bench pressing yesterday and we were doing heavy weights, going for 1 rep maxes, and form was looking good and everything. And it's weight that we've relatively used before. So me and my friend Chris were like pushing each other. Try a couple of 1 rep maxes that I don't hit, so I'm reducing the weight a bit more. And eventually I get down to 100 kg. So 100 kg is like the 220 plates on the bench press. It looks really nice. And I've hit this weight multiple times, like many times for sets of 3. Today I'm feeling kind of tired, so I hit it for 2, do a couple of sets. Then eventually I'm going for the final set. I re-rack the weight without me even pressing it or bringing the weight down. Something just f***ing twinges in my shoulder and my neck straight away. It's just painful as f***. So I rack the weight and it's just like, I literally can't even move my neck. Like even right now, like this is the range of motion that I have with my neck right now before it hurts, like there.
So to be fair to Hamza, this footage is a year old, so he could have gotten stronger since then, but I don't think he has. He doesn't look any bigger or stronger, and again, He hasn't posted any lifting content that I know of, so I can only assume. But again, just compare. This is a guy who's following the carnivore diet, who's struggling to bench 2 plates on each side, about 225 pounds, and then he snaps his shit up. He hurts himself doing it. Whereas here I am, the vegan. I've been vegan for 14 years, haven't eaten any meat, dairy, or eggs, and last workout I had, I benched 355 for 4 sets of 3. So, yeah, wow, amazing. The carnivore diet. You're weak and small, and a vegan outlifts you by over 100 pounds. I am not impressed.
Nah, but vegetables. Do you eat vegetables or just pure meat? What's the thinking behind that? What's the downside of eating vegetables?
So a bunch of guys on the carnivore actually say that vegetables aren't healthy either. Once you get into prime health, we're talking, okay, there's whole foods only, meat only, you start to realize that even vegetables are actually slowing you down, and that like maybe there's quite a lot of propaganda. You know, you eat your 5 vegetables. It's interesting that it doesn't often taste nice, unless, you know, if you cover vegetables with seasonings and sauce, but most vegetables in general don't taste nice. And it's interesting that, like, why wouldn't a food that's absolutely vital taste nice on our taste buds?
So this should come as no surprise to anybody, but fruits and vegetables and fiber are good for you. People who eat more fruits and vegetables and more fiber, they have a reduction in all-cause mortality risk. They have a lower risk of developing heart disease, diabetes, cancer, and dying from it. So your argument that vegetables are bad is they don't taste good. Okay, I don't know why that matters. That sounds kind of like something that a 5-year-old would come up with. Dad, I was in science class and, you know, I was thinking about evolution and, if we evolved for, like, vegetables to be healthy for us, they'd probably taste good, wouldn't it? So can you buy me McDonald's instead? Now, I'll explain to you why this rationale is stupid. So there's a term called antagonistic pleiotropy, and what that basically means is that evolutionary adaptations that are beneficial for survival early in life are not beneficial for survival later in life. So we have evolved to really like the taste of calorically dense foods that are very high in sugar, high in salt, high in fat, foods that'll really help us pack on weight. And that is beneficial for survival early in life because it makes sure we get enough calories so that we don't starve. It lets us put on some excess body fat, so if there's ever a famine situation, we'll have some extra energy to survive a famine. But if you've been eating really sugary, fatty foods your entire life, that might have helped you survive early in life, but later in life, it'll increase your risk of chronic diseases like heart disease. So that's an example of antagonistic pleiotropy, and that might be why vegetables don't taste as good as something like a juicy steak with all these seasonings. It's because vegetables aren't super calorically dense, they're not high in sugar, they're not high in fat, they're not the types of foods that are beneficial for short-term survival earlier on in life. But they are beneficial for long-term survival. Clearly, that is what the data shows. So, you thinking broccoli doesn't taste good is not an argument against eating broccoli. You just don't like broccoli, and you gotta kind of suck it up and eat your broccoli if you want to be healthy.
When I eat some vegetables like sweet potatoes or broccoli or normal potatoes, I'll notice the difference. I'm genuinely 5% or at least 10% stupider after I have some vegetables. So it's once you want to get to high levels of peak performance, that's when you consider like cutting the vegetables out, cutting the fruit out.
No, Hamza, broccoli isn't making you stupid. You were already stupid before eating the broccoli. Fruit and vegetable consumption is associated with better cognitive performance, not worse. So I think what's actually going on here is that when you do decide to eat fruits and vegetables, your brain functions a little better and you become smart enough to realize just how stupid you really are. So Hamza, I'm getting sick of seeing you promote this ridiculous diet, and I'd love to have a debate with you live publicly. If you think your diet is so great, then why don't we debate the topic? We can debate veganism, the carnivore diet, what diet is ideal for human health. And while you're at it, why don't you post some lifting footage and show those carnivore gains you've been making, right? You're bigger and stronger, aren't you? So why don't you lift some more baby weights, hurt yourself, and then come up with some sort of excuse for why a vegan is so much bigger and stronger than you.